Okay, so you guys know that season 5 is probably Drag Race's best season. The cast is really good and really strong, with 8 queens from the cast winning a maxi challenge there, every episode having a different winner from the previous, and the first 8 episodes all having a different maxi challenge winner, with the last 3 competitive episodes wins going to the top 3. The storylines are also fantastic. The preseason storyline between Alyssa and Coco that ended up pulling in Jade, with this trio of villains beefing with each other, then Alaska Talks as a strong villainous alliance going up against Jinkx and Ivy, probably the only 2 heroes of the season, with Ivy having to be eliminated in order to give Jinkx extra motivation to beat Alaska Talks in the end. Even so, the main villains in Alaska Talks were not purely villains. We saw that Roxxxy was mean because of undealt trauma. Alaska felt like she was in the shadow of Sharon, the previous season's winner and her partner at the time, and Detox is just good at everything, and sometimes she came off as arrogant. Their animosity towards Jinkx came from them seeing that Jinkx was probably going to beat them in the end, but then also all of them knowing that visually they had better skills than Jinkx. But even so, Jinx's versatility and talent outshining all of them. The season had so many layers, and even some queens that were less important for the story, like Serena and Lineysha, were good additions to the cast. It shouldn't surprise us that All Stars 9 is seemingly trying to replicate the story of season 5 with Roxxxy and Angeria. Hear me out. Ever since the season started, I've been pointing out the fact that Roxxxy's been a very strong presence in these 6 episodes. That should not surprise us for episodes 4 to 6, but in episodes 1, 2, and 3, she did not do much to impress, with her highest point being a mini challenge win in episode 1, and then her getting cut afterwards. Even so, Roxxxy was one of the people we saw the most. Obviously, Roxxxy is a popular character, and if you're an older fan coming back to see what All Stars has to offer, you would stick around if the production showed you loads of Roxxxy, loads of something familiar. But then, at the same time, Angeria's been all over the place with her placements, never being consistent, but constantly being part of the story. Actually, the 2 of them have been the main characters. Gottmik was barely the main character in her 2 winning episodes, but she is consistently a shit stirrer, so she's not invisible. Vanjie is orbiting around Angeria and Roxxxy with her edit, sometimes being shown as aligned with one, sometimes with the other, never really excelling at anything in particular, but constantly being good at everything and being a good character. Chanel, Nina, Georges, and Plastique are shown sparingly, with Nina sometimes being used to water down a political message, Georges being used, I don't know, so that the viewers that are attracted to kids or people that look like kids have something to look at, Chanel just sadly being there, and Plastique being so criminally underutilized that I need to file a complaint, because she should have 3 top 2 placements by now. The main conflict this season has been between Angeria and Roxxxy. Angeria was cut from possibly winning a badge twice. The first time, Gottmik cut her. The second time, Roxxxy and Vanjie did it. But Roxxxy got all the backlash for it. However, Angeria, as of episode 6, has won twice, and she cut Roxxxy both times. It's worth noting that Roxxxy almost cut Angeria for the second time, overall 3rd time, after episode 5, which also provided some conflict. It's clear that the editors are leaning into the 2 frontrunners and most well-rounded queens with the edit, seemingly trying to replicate the story that was on season 5. And what do I mean by this? Obviously, Roxxxy is our main link here. On season 5, she was a villain, and on All Stars 2, she got the biggest redemption. And then now she's back as a mix of her season 5 and All Stars 2 personas. They have been dropping these hints from other queens too, that Roxxxy is going back to her old ways, but she hasn't reached her final form truly, having the confidence and stability of All Stars 2 Roxxxy, but the villain inclinations of Season 5 Roxxxy. It's still pretty unclear if Roxxxy will be the villain of the story, but that does seem to be the case, because Angeria is being shown as a victim, more or less. The queens kept attacking her for being upset over being cut twice in the span of just 3 episodes. She also almost got cut 2 episodes in a row, mind you. Cutting someone means that you think that they're strong competition, right? That was the argument on All Stars 7 with the blocking, and the argument is the same on All Stars 9 with the cutting. So they're all telling Angeria that she's a strong competition by cutting her. Any episode that she was not cut, she was in the top 4 or she won. So yes, she is good competition. Now, tell me how exactly that makes her the most delusional queen of the season. It's really giving Jinkx on season 5 vibes. Somebody who's killing the competition, the other queens see that, but they keep underestimating her and borderline attacking her for being good. Angeria and Roxxxy are currently the strongest competitors of the season, having the exact same track record of 2 wins, 2 top 4 placements, and 2 safe placements, being cut twice as well, but Roxxxy having a mini challenge win over Angeria. It seems like the edit is giving us these scenes of Angeria and Roxxxy conflicts, as well as Vanjie sometimes being one person's ally, sometimes the others, acting kind of like the Alaska of the season, you know, like your anti-hero. The problem here is that the roles are not yet well defined. The story I mentioned could work really well if, from the get-go, they established Roxxxy as the villain, Angeria as the hero, and Vanjie or any other third queen as a flip-flopping ally/foe. But that's not what's happening. On season 5, Roxxxy won the first maxi challenge, establishing herself as a threat. And not only that, she was a threat when it came to the visual aspect of drag. What does our hero Jinkx lack in? Visual presentation. What is Jinkx good at? What challenges does she excel at? Comedy, improv, acting, singing challenges, which is where Roxxxy is inconsistent. They are complete opposites, but Jinkx is shown as respecting Roxxxy being better than her at some stuff, whereas Roxxxy does not respect Jinkx, which makes us root for Jinkx and against Roxxxy. Alaska is in the middle, being good at all of these stuff, but rarely better than the other two. All Stars 9 starts with Roxxxy winning a maxi challenge, so somewhat starting off on a high. But then Angeria gets the win and cuts Roxxxy, essentially punching downwards. Roxxxy gets to have her revenge, but then she also has the moment of choosing not to cut Angeria for the second time, overall third time, making Roxxxy seem like she's the hero of the story that beat the villain in Angeria. Furthermore, with Angeria's last win in episode 6, during the entire episode, Angeria was the only person that got a negative critique from the judges. And she ended up in the top 2 and, like I said, ultimately winning the episode. Drag Race will sometimes do this to piss off the queens or any specific queen, like, for example, giving Tatiana the Snatch Game win on season 2 to rile up the rest of the queens, or giving Georges the win on the Design Challenge of season 14 to rile up anyone with eyes, really. However, this time the negative critique was said when the queens were not there, so as to get us, the audience, to react in a negative way towards Angeria's high placement. They are actively making us want to root against Angeria while gaslighting her that she's the villain of the season, even though we see and we are told that Roxxxy is dipping back into her season 5 self, where she was the main villain. These recent seasons of Drag Race have had horrible editing, though it's clear that it's all because of hyperproduction and their need to have a handful of 10+ episode long seasons per year. And that's it, that's the video. I've already done a video on Drag Race repeating storylines some 4 or 5 years ago, which is terrifying to say, by the way, it feels like a lifetime ago, so check that out if you want. But regarding All Stars 9, we're only halfway done with the season, so maybe in the next couple of weeks the roles these queens are playing will be better defined, but yeah, I kinda doubt it. Thank you for watching.